This will be a new one, Dave. There's something different
Oh,
from what we talked about last week. Um, I had a really nice conversation with Rocky Harris yesterday, the chief executive officer for USA Triathlon. And amongst the many things we chatted about was increasing diversity and inclusion in triathlon. And when I look at Ironman, especially up in the upper echelons of Ironman, it remains reflective of, unfortunately, the athlete base, very white. I look at the master coaches, people who I all admire, Lance, of course, who I work with regularly. I'm curious if you know or if you're aware of any attempts to try and increase diversity and inclusion up at that echelon to try and make the sport look more like what we'd like the sport to look like in the athlete base.
yeah, I'm sure you got Rocky's input on this is what we're planning to do. And it's come up many, many times in discussion with Ironman and Ironman U about how do we do this and how do we get new people into the sport. And I kind of look back at my history, and when I would travel, a lot of European countries and also Australia at the time and New Zealand had club programs, and they had club programs for kids and adults. And so the immersion was much younger, and it was inclusive of all demographics. And so we didn't see this divisive split where people say, "No, I can't do it. It's an all-white sport," which it is, and it's very unfortunate. So I think one of the things that I would like to see, and we have talked about this, how do you develop the grassroots program? And you see this in, I'll say, maybe some of the other sports. Swimming is somewhat inclusive on a certain socioeconomic status. But for kids, that opportunity where you have coaches that just put those kids together, they flourish. An example is Bernard Lyles, who lives in Chicago, and Bernard is Black, and he started a inner city Black kids program probably 30 years ago, and he still has that program. And I remember he had an outreach to the pros at the time. Can you provide clothes? Can you send us this? And we were all just kind of overwhelmed by absolutely. There was no hesitancy whatsoever. We sent them boxes of things. I did, but that's only one little group. But it's a start, and I think we don't have the seeds right now to look at how can we do this with I'll say a minimal amount of cost and effectiveness, and also give kids and adults instruction. And I don't really have the answers, Jeff. It's a great question, but I think there's different groups where we could tag to existing clubs and have a triathlon faction with that club.